Hello one and all, this is Soulful Lordy, James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. This time around, Mortal Kombat 1 for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Mortal Kombat 1 is the 12th numbered entry in the Mortal Kombat franchise, and I won't get into details about why it's only the 12th considering so many Mortal Kombat games we've had in the past, but the fact remains that even though it is Mortal Kombat 12, it's essentially a reboot of the Mortal Kombat franchise from a narrative perspective following the events of Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat Aftermath, which was the DLC that came alongside Mortal Kombat 11, I believe, almost a year later. And the story revolves around the fact that once a Time Lord, now simply the protector of Earthrealm, Liu Kang, has crafted a universe, a timeline, where there's a lot of peaks between the worlds, between the realms. Instead of Outworld being headed by Shao Kahn in an effort to control all the realms, including Earthrealm, the usage of the quote-unquote Mortal Kombat tournament is simply an opportunity for the realms to come together and enjoy some good fighting and celebrate one another. But of course, things don't go well because there is an infiltrator, there is a mastermind that is looking to destroy the peace of the realms and take over. Now, I definitely won't spoil who that is and how it comes to be, but from a narrative perspective, I will say that the campaign mode of Mortal Kombat 1 was really good, though it felt a little bit underwhelming and maybe treading a little water when it comes to the pacing. But I think one of the main reasons for that is because this was a foundational point. It is potentially setting up the universe that will be to come when it comes to Mortal Kombat 2 and beyond. The other single player aspects are both underwhelming and rudimentary to a certain extent. Of course, there's the returning classic towers, where you're able to control one character and their cameo, I'll get to that in a few minutes, and go up the ladder to get their character ending once you finish off the Deadly Alliance. The other single player mode, which is a completely new mode that removes the Towers of Time and the Crypt from Mortal Kombat 11 in favor of Invasions mode. Invasions mode is a board game style isometric adventure experience where you go throughout each map and each realm and take on controlled AI opponents, upgrade your specific fighter and cameo as your character levels up from, of course, winning these fights, and participating in certain mini games that makes the overall mode feel rather underwhelming. Though it looks like it's grandiose, it's something that will go on for seasons and months and years, the incentive to actually play this mode wears off very, very quickly. It doesn't feel necessarily compelling or adventurous compared to, say, Conquest mode from Mortal Kombat Deception, which is what a lot of us were kind of hoping for when it came to Invasions mode and the announcement of it before it was revealed what it really is. Now, of course, I've only played just a few hours of it. It may get better in the long run, considering there are story elements associated with Invasions mode that is nothing connected to the actual narrative. It's a completely separate narrative. So maybe it may get a lot more interesting as I progress, but right now it is a struggle. It is a struggle to get emotionally invested and excited about playing Invasions mode. Now, the online modes aren't that much better in terms of variety and offerings, especially when you look at its contemporary and other games in the genre like Street Fighter 6. With Combat League returning via ranked play instead of a best of 3 series and now best of 5 series. From the casual perspective, you have the option of just fighting a person randomly, or King of the Hill mode that returns where you have to knock off the king and try to hold onto the throne as long as you can before you get knocked off and have to start at the bottom all over again. And unfortunately, that's really it. I really wish there was a tournament mode, because there's an offline version of tournament mode, yet we do not have an online version similar to, say, Tekken 7, which I think would have really added a lot to the casual play. You also can't have multiple fights going on in a private room if you've organized a private lobby. Once again, I think that would have helped a lot, especially when friends get together and want to play instead of just having to wait around. Now, one of the biggest additions when it comes to this game is the cameo system. Instead of utilizing the variation system like we've seen in Mortal Kombat X and 11, which has been completely removed, now every character has their base special attacks and that's it. You do not have character variations like you did in the previous games. Instead, we have the cameo system where you pick essentially a tag team partner that plays as a cooldown special attack. Depending on the direction, how long you hold the cameo button, when they are able to be used, as indicated by the icon underneath the picture of your character that you're currently playing as. And depending on what direction, how long you hold the button to call in a cameo, you'll be able to pull off a variety of different maneuvers. So you have these options of calling in pretty much a tag team partner for a temporary usage, very similar to the test your luck special abilities that you would have in that mode in the previous games. The cooldown for cameos is actually very forgiving, but also very reasonable. If you utilize your cameos very quickly, usually you can use them two back to back very quickly if you want to. They do take a little while to charge back up, but it doesn't necessarily feel too long when you're in the heat of battle. One thing I noticed when utilizing cameos is that you have to have your feet planted on the ground when you do it. And that's one of the big things I've noticed about this game is the fact that this is built on combo efficiency. I'm not great at combos, I will admit to that. But even the bread and butter combos, if you know how to pull them off correctly, do great damage and can set up some special attacks or even a fatal blow, which is one of the things that does return in this game. For those who don't remember, fatal blows are pretty much the desperation attack that you can use once per fight. If your health gets low enough, you're able to hit an opponent with a fatal blow that does massive damage. Unlike the previous fatal blows, the cameos actually get involved alongside the main character. But I noticed that the fatal blows are not as armored as they were in the previous game. So you're easily able to knock an opponent out of a fatal blow if you're timed properly. If you're able to block it or say pull off a leg sweep, you can stop a fatal blow pretty easily now. One of the things that has been removed from Mortal Kombat 11 is the defensive and offensive bars that were in the corners of the screens for each character. Instead, now we have a three-segmented, essentially EX or enhance bar that of course allows you to enhance your special attacks. And I noticed that certain special attacks actually have an armor effectiveness that works incredibly well. But one of the big things about the segmented bar, the enhanced bar, that is great for defensive measures if you properly time it, is the ability to pull off a combo breaker. But doing so, you expel all of your bar. You utilize every segment that you have. It takes all three segments to pull off a combo breaker. And even though your cameo does come in to do the breaker, it doesn't actually exhaust the cameo itself. So you do lose all your bars, but you do still have your cameo. Technically, the game looks fantastic. It sounds great, though Megan Fox's voice acting, But there were some stability issues when it came to this game. Specifically from an online perspective, trying to get some King of the Hill fights. In the early access portion, I would have the game hard crash when I tried to get into lobbies for King of the Hill fights. There were actually moments where the game hard crashed during campaign mode. And of course there is the online instability when it comes to laggy fights where you cannot back out without taking a loss. There are certain things about this I know will be fixed as the weeks and months progress, but as of right now there are some definite stability issues, and I've seen on Twitter how bad the game performs on the Nintendo Switch. It is one of those games where it is way beyond the capabilities of the Switch. Overall, Mortal Kombat 1 doesn't feel like the grand return to form in terms of modes and online innovation, but from a gameplay perspective, it is definitely one of the most fun Mortal Kombat games, not only recently but of all time. The level of experimentation and growth that players will have as the weeks and months progress, I know will be profound as we learn more about how to utilize our cameos and what characters work best with one another. I'm also intrigued to see how they expand upon the narrative when it comes to now this new universe set by Liu Kang. But I will say this from the jump, it's not a complete package. Of course we have DLC, we have the combat pack, but they always do. If you want the complete package, you'll have to wait probably about 2 years before the Ultimate Edition arrives. And then there's the stability issues that haven't been ironed out just yet. And if you are solely a Nintendo Switch player, I have to say I would skip it because from what I've seen, it is not a game that is functional on the Nintendo Switch. But if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, if you're a fan of the genre, if you're a fan of the gameplay, especially the more hyper fighting style from Mortal Kombat X, I think you will enjoy this a lot more than you did Mortal Kombat 11, though personally I love Mortal Kombat 11, and it's taken me some getting used to get Mortal Kombat 1 down, but I think you will thoroughly enjoy this as well. So there you have it. This has been Soulful Lordy, James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. Mortal Kombat 1 for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Now if you don't mind, I have to take my Mortal Kombat 11 main Baraka back into the realm of Mortal Kombat 1 because I, once again, love playing as Baraka. And if I can overwhelm my opponents and make them quit, they will have no choice but to say, "Oh Lordy."